The discovery made in the waters of Caesarea on the coast of Israel is not just a top-level archaeological find. It is an epic that connects the present with the opulence of one of the most dynamic and least understood eras of Mediterranean history. Although the narrative of a submerged golden throne serves to illustrate the magnitude of the wealth that the sea has guarded, the technical reality of the discovery, an immense treasure of more than 1,000 Fatimid gold coins, offers a much deeper and more detailed window into the geopolitics, trade, and daily life of the 11th century. This discovery, the most important of its kind in the region, has forever changed our understanding of the strategic importance of the port of Caesarea and the reach of the Fatimid Caliphate. Leave a like, subscribe, and share. Let's begin. The story of this discovery begins with an element as old as the sea itself: a storm. In February 2015, a series of particularly violent winter storms battered Israel's Mediterranean coast. The strong waves and rip currents stirred up tons of sediment in the ancient port of Caesarea, a structure that was already an engineering marvel when King Herod the Great ordered its construction in the 1st century before Christ. When the sea finally calmed down, a group of local divers from the Caesarea Diving Club jumped into the water for a routine dive. What they found upon reaching the seabed left them paralyzed. The bottom was not covered in gray sand, but in a metallic sheen that defied the gloom of the water. Initially, the divers experienced logical confusion. In a port that receives thousands of tourists a year, the first thing they thought was that they were plastic tokens from some modern game or chocolate coins that had fallen from some yacht. However, upon collecting the first pieces, the specific weight of the gold and the clarity of the Kufic inscriptions on both sides of the coins revealed the truth to them. With exemplary honesty, they made no attempt to conceal their find. They returned to the surface, informed their club director, and he immediately contacted the Israel Antiquities Authority. What followed was an emergency archaeological recovery operation that unearthed an unprecedented numismatic treasure. The analysis of the 1,000 coins revealed amazing facts about their origin and value. The pieces are dinars, half dinars, and quarter dinars of pure gold. The oldest coin in the set was minted in Palermo, Sicily, in the second half of the 9th century, which demonstrates the incredible circulation of currency in the medieval Mediterranean. However, the vast majority of the pieces belong to the Fatimid Caliphs Al-Hakim, 996, 1021 after Christ, and his son Al-Zahir, 1021, 1036 after Christ. The fact that these coins have remained 1,000 years underwater and have emerged with an almost perfect shine is due to the chemical properties of gold. Unlike silver or bronze, gold is a noble metal that does not react with sea salt or oxidize, which allowed the inscriptions to remain as legible as the day they left the mint in Cairo or Sicily. Robert Cole, a numismatics expert with the Antiquities Authority, pointed out details that humanize the treasure. Many of the coins show bite marks on their edges. In an era without central banks or electronic verification systems, the most reliable way to check that a coin was solid gold and not a common plated metal was to bite it. Because high-purity gold is relatively soft, the merchant's teeth left a distinctive mark that confirmed the authenticity of the payment. These marks are scars from real transactions that occurred a long time ago, 10 centuries, in the bustling markets of Caesarea or on the decks of merchant ships. For historians, the crucial question is how such a fortune ended up at the bottom of the sea. Kobe Sharvit, director of the Marine Archaeology Unit, has developed several hypotheses that transform the find into a narrative of historical intrigue. One of the strongest theories is that the coins were part of the province's tax revenue, being transported on an official ship to Cairo, the capital of the Caliphate. The port of Caesarea was a mandatory technical stop, and a shipwreck right at the entrance of the port due to a storm or a navigational error would have deposited the treasure on the seabed. Another possibility is that the money was intended to pay the salaries of the Fatimid military garrison stationed in the city to defend it from incursions by the Byzantines or Bedouin tribes of the desert. A third theory, perhaps the most romantic, suggests that the gold belonged to a rich merchant, whose ship traded between the ports of the eastern Mediterranean basin. During the Fatimid period, maritime trade experienced a golden age. Despite religious and military tensions, merchant ships crossed the borders between the Islamic and Christian worlds with astonishing frequency. Caesarea, with its deep harbor and walled defenses, was a commercial hub where spices, silks, glass, and precious metals were exchanged. The loss of a shipment of 1,000 gold dinars would have meant total ruin for any merchant of the time. But for us, it represents a fossil record of the global economy of the Middle Ages. The Fatimid dynasty, which ruled much of North Africa, Sicily, and the Levant from the 10th century until the 12th, was known for her immense wealth and her patronage of the arts and sciences. Its advent coincided with a change in trade routes, where the Mediterranean regained the prominence it had lost to the land routes of Central Asia. Cities like Caesarea, Ashkelon, and Acre became the gateways for this wealth. The discovery of the gold treasure is tangible proof of that legendary prosperity. It's not just money. It's the symbol of an empire that controlled the flow of precious metals from the mines of sub-Saharan Africa to the markets of Europe and Asia. Caesarea herself is a central character in this story. Founded by Herod to honor Caesar Augustus, the city was designed to be the most modern port of the ancient world. They used pozzolana, a volcanic cement that sets underwater, to build gigantic breakwaters. Although for the 11th century, some of these Roman structures had already sunk due to tectonic activity, the port remained operational and vital. The discovery of gold in this specific location underscores the historical continuity of the city as a center of power. The Fatimids not only occupied the city, but also revitalized its infrastructure, turning it into a bastion of their power on the coast of Palestine. Leave a like, subscribe, and share. The impact of this discovery on modern marine archaeology has been immense. It has promoted new expeditions in the old port area using side-scan sonar technologies and high-precision magnetometers. Archaeologists hope that, under the layers of sand, there are still remains of the hull of the vessel that transported the gold. If the ship's wood could be found, dendrochronological analysis of the wood's growth rings could tell us exactly where and when the ship was built, closing the circle of this age-old mystery. In addition to its historical value, the discovery has an important social dimension. The divers' decision to hand over the treasure instead of trying to sell it on the black market has been praised by international authorities. This act of civic duty has allowed the 1,000 coins should be displayed in museums, where they can be studied by scientists and admired by the public. Thanks to this, the Golden Throne of Caesarea did not end up in an invisible private collection, but has become a heritage of humanity, educating new generations about the complexity and richness of the cultures that preceded us. Robert Cole emphasizes that the treasure of Caesarea is a history book made of metal. Each coin, with its inscriptions mentioning the caliphs and the cities of minting, is a primary document that validates medieval chronicles that were sometimes considered exaggerated. When Arabic texts spoke of caravans of ships loaded with gold crossing the sea, the discovery in Caesarea proves that these were not poetic metaphors, but descriptions of a vibrant economic reality. Treasure conservation is also a subject of study. The fact that the pieces did not need cleaning demonstrates why gold has been humanity's standard of value for millennia. While iron turns to rust and wood disappears, gold remains unaltered, guarding the information that man engraved on it. This treasure tells us that the Fatimids' monetary system was extremely sophisticated, with different denominations, half and quarter dinars, to facilitate both large-scale trade and smaller-scale everyday transactions. In the laboratories of the Antiquities Authority, researchers continue to analyze the chemical composition of gold. This type of analysis can reveal the mine of origin of the metal, which would allow tracing the gold supply routes from the interior of Africa to the mints of the Mediterranean. It is a network of connections that spans thousands of kilometers and places medieval Caesarea at the center of a globalized economic system much earlier than we usually imagine. The port of Caesarea remains one of Israel's biggest tourist attractions, and this discovery has added a layer of mysticism and adventure to the ruins. Walking through the Roman hippodrome or the Crusader fortifications takes on a new meaning when you know that a few meters from the shore, under the waves where bathers play today, the sea can still reveal fortunes that change our vision of the world. The idea of a submerged golden throne may never physically materialize. But the cultural and scientific wealth that these 1,000 coins that have contributed to history are, without a doubt, a throne of knowledge upon which our understanding of the past rests. Finally, the discovery in Caesarea reminds us that we live on a planet whose surface is covered in 70% by water, a medium that acts as the largest library and museum of humanity. Every storm, every dive, and every technological advance brings us a little closer to recovering the voices of those who sailed these waters a millennium ago. The Fatimid gold treasure is a reminder that history is not only in books, but under our feet and under our waves, waiting for the right moment and the curious gaze to shine again under the Mediterranean sun. Caesarea's lesson is clear. Underwater heritage is fragile and precious. Protecting these sites is not just a task for governments, but a shared responsibility. The divers who found the coins have become heroes of archaeology, proving that a passion for the sea and respect for the past can go hand in hand. Thanks to them, the immense treasure of the Fatimid Caliphs is no longer lost in the abyss, but has returned to the light to tell us a story of ships, storms, and an empire that, for a brief moment, dominated the world with the brilliance of its gold. The golden throne of Caesarea is, ultimately, a metaphor for the persistence of civilization. Through the Crusades, the collapse of empires, and the passage of centuries, these coins have survived to remind us that trade and cultural exchange are constant human forces. In a Mediterranean that has often been the scene of conflicts, this treasure speaks to us of a time when gold united distant shores and created a common language of value and trust. It is a discovery that, 1,000 years later, it continues to shock historians and amaze all those who dream of the secrets that the ocean still refuses to fully reveal. Leave a like, subscribe, and share. See you next time.